motion to get started. We have everybody's attention. Tonight we're missing, excuses, Councilman O'Neill and Councilman Workman. So we're going to move right into the agenda. 2.1, discuss ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances for the City of Riverview by the addition of Section 5415, Public Right-of-Way, to Article 1 in general of Chapter 54, Street, Sidewalks, and Other Public Places to regulate the placement of items in the right-of-way. Jeff?
Yeah, so, Your Honor, this is brought forward from, I guess, multiple departments, but really DPW and city engineering. So you guys want to come up and just give a real quick response to this ordinance that we are updating?
What about the DPW director?
Yeah, he can come up
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Come on up, Mr. Webb, please.
Share the wealth.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
This ordinance stemmed from a challenge we had with DTE when they were putting the gas main on Sibley Road. They told us that they have a permit from the county and the state, so they don't need a permit from the city. That didn't sit too good with us. Again, we have utilities in these right-of-ways. We face this everywhere. Every community that has Wayne County roads and state roads, the utilities will come in and state that, okay, we got permits from the state or the county, we don't need you. That's not the case. They need our permit. So we forced them to apply for a permit. They submitted plans. We reviewed them. We made sure that they are not interfering with our water mains, sanitary sewers, or storm sewers. But we had nothing in the ordinance book that regulated that at the time. So we worked with Randy's office to develop an ordinance that can require every utility or everybody that installs anything in the right-of-way to submit plans to the city for review, whether it's on city right-of-ways or county right-of-ways or state right-of-ways. And this ordinance is going to help us force that issue, and we'll issue permits, we'll review them, make sure that they don't interfere with our infrastructure, and everybody will be happy after that. There'll be no issues whatsoever with the installations.
So,
In essence, it's a required ordinance that we have to have on the books.
so Your Honor, the first time that DTE submitted plans to run the new gas, methane gas pipes to Ford Street, it was very, very close to our water main. And that's the water main down Sibley, which is our main water main that would have cut water to most everyone in the city. So, you know, their response was, well, if we damage it, we'll fix it. Yeah, well, when and how, and why don't we just don't, you know, how about staying away from it, and therefore we don't have to worry about you fixing it. So Ohio caught it, and Jeff and Ohio talked about it and said, hey, you know, so this is an instrument that allows us to force them to submit plans before they start projects, any contractors.
So this covers everything that you said. There's a state right-of-way. What's the difference? Or give me an example of a state right-of-way and a county right-of-way and our own right-of-way.
Okay, 4th Street is a state-regulated right-of-way. Sibley Road is a county-regulated right-of-way. If they're going to install something on Sibley Road, they'll apply for a county permit. If they receive it in their mind, that's all they need. But we do have water mains, like Jeff mentioned, along Sibley Road. We have the main feed to the city that is running on the south side of Sibley Road. If they have the permit from the county and they install their main, let's say, on top of our water main, Jeff gets a break in the middle of the night, he goes out to repair it. Miss Dick hasn't marked the gas line yet. In the process of excavating for the water main, he may hit the gas line and cause a big mess. Or if our water main breaks, it may wash out their gas line and break their gas line. We just want to make sure that we regulate these installations. We want to make sure that they have separation between our gas line, their gas line, our water main. We require at the minimum 10-foot separation.
Okay.
When they applied to the county, their attitude was, we got a county permit, but we found out that they are within 3 feet from our water main.
Oh my.
Their attitude was, we break it, we fix it. Now, let's remember when the water main broke last time, we had to spend $180,000 to repair it. We don't want them to break it, we don't want them to fix it, we want them to avoid it. This ordinance will make sure that they submit plans, we'll review the plans, we'll make sure they have a separation from our utilities, and everybody's happy after that, everybody's safe.
Very good. Council, fine, would this be on the next agenda?
It will be.
For a state right-of-way, for example, 4th Street is a state right-of-way. We have also 2 water mains, one on the east side, one on the west side. We don't want anybody to install cable, gas lines, electric conduits near our mains. So that's how we can regulate it, by making sure that this ordinance is
So
in
do we have
place.
final say in where whatever gets placed there?
Now we will.
Right.
Before, they could have challenged us,
Uh-huh.
but anyway, I stopped short of telling them, I will park my car in front of you in your way, not to
Well,
install
thank
your
you.
main. So I mean, we can't afford to have any disastrous breaks on our lines, so,
Awesome, thank you.
no problem.
It just seems like due diligence then, right? That's kind of what I'm getting.
Oh, we took the stand. Okay.
Thanks for catching that.
Thank you, so,
No problem.
good
Questions?
Oh, I think that's it.
Great, thanks.
Great job.
Thanks, Randy.
Okay, 2-2, present Zoom presentation by Jonathan Paz of Flock Safety. Chief.
Mayor, council, thank you for having me. The reason I'm here today is because I put in our capital improvement plan for the police department for 8 cameras next budget year. So if you just looked at it and you saw Flock Securities, you might not know what it was. So what Flock cameras are is they're license plate readers. They go on our main roads. And the reason I chose Flock is because our neighboring communities also have Flock. So if we're in Flock, we have access to their cameras as well. So if we put a vehicle into the system, it gets tracked whoever has Flock. MSP has Flock, Allen Park has Flock, Lincoln Park has Flock, Wyandotte has Flock. It's a great system for locating wanted vehicles, wanted people, missing and endangered people. So the total cost up front for the first year would be $53,000, and then going forward it'd be $24,000 a year to maintain. And I'm not an expert in it, so that's why I'm going to have Flock do a little presentation for you in case you have any questions for them.
Good evening.
Oh, give me 1 second.
Could folks hear me here?
We can hear you, but
We can
I've
hear
got to
you.
get the video on. There.
Is that Jonathan?
Uh,
Can he not hear us?
I can hear you guys. There we go. I can see myself now.
All right.
So Jonathan and Augustine, right?
Yes, Chief, I'm right here. Council, pleasure to meet y'all.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. If you want to start your presentation, we'd appreciate it.
Happy to. Again, my name is Jonathan Paz. Happy to be here with all of you. Just wanted to quickly start with sharing our mission, shaping a safer future together. We're actually founded back in 2017 when our CEO was the victim of property crime in his neighborhood. He noticed that there was an uptick in crime, and lo and behold, his car got broken into. And at the time, he had a doorbell camera and thought maybe that's enough to help apprehend the suspects. But when he brought that evidence to his local police department, they said it's not enough. They need the license plate. So he did a little bit of research and found out that license plate reading technology has been around for over 30 years. It's just typically pretty cost prohibitive. So he developed the best-in-class technology, and now we're in over 5,000 communities, helping solve over 10% of the crime. Really helping answer the paradox where police departments are expected to do more with less. Nationwide, there's 85% of agencies are experiencing an officer shortage, and 65% of agencies are reporting having too few sworn officer candidates. Our technology becomes a force multiplier helping address this issue. We have a collaborative policing technology platform, making sure that we're not just collaborating with the community, but making sure across all facets of policing and law enforcement that you guys have the right tools to not only be more effective, but also have a higher clearance rate, actually being able to solve crime more expeditiously. So here's a whole platform suite. But what we're really talking about today is our license plate reader here, our camera. And the way it works, right, it's you put it on we attach it on a pole, and if you drive by one of these fixed locations, it takes a snapshot of the back of a car. And really it takes stock of two things. Number one, right, the license plate, but also number two, the vehicular fingerprint, meaning any distinguishable characteristics of a car, like the color, the make, if it has maybe a bike rack, it'll make note of that in the flock system. So this is a really helpful tool, right? Number one, because it is an investigative tool, so you have data to work with. You can actually have evidence from some history in that neighborhood. But number two, you do get these proactive alerts. So there's someone, the system's connected to the National Crime Information Center and the Center for Missing People. So if you, let's say, have someone who's coming to your jurisdiction who has a felony warrant, like someone driving in with a stolen vehicle, or someone who's missing, you will get that notification in real time on your pad, on your phone, on the app directly. So this becomes a, as we call, a force multiplier, enabling you to really keep your eyes on the target here, making sure that you're effectively solving crime, but not having to do the whole IT in the background. We become your partners, making sure that you're always covered, your system's working up to date as best as possible. This is what it looks like for your police department to search through the system. Let's say that there was some case around a catalytic converter. This is what it looks like to set up an alert, and you can customize a hot list depending on some kind of crime that you may be pursuing. This is what it looks like to get an alert. This is what it looks like to get to search through for features. So oftentimes when something happens, people don't memorize a license plate, but they do remember certain features of a vehicle. So this enables them to be able to search through the system in your community to be able to better develop a picture and maybe have some stronger leads in the investigative process. And we do build this technology with privacy in mind. As I mentioned, the system does collect data. That data is 100% yours. We just help store it. Actually, it will be deleted after 30 days. So if any data is not being used as part of a criminal investigation, that will be deleted, and it will be irretrievable. And we don't really collect personal data from people. It's really focused on vehicles. Security is paramount. We protect your data in the AWS cloud. It's end-to-end encrypted at the highest levels. And you can't just go into the system. We do believe in transparency and accountability. So any search has to have a reason, and it will be part of an indefinitely available audit trail. So if you wanted to have some periodic audits, you can have that enabled in the system. And we really do believe this technology does enhance, reduces bias in policing because you are enhancing objectivity. You're working with indiscriminate evidence. And we go a step further where we do provide a transparency portal free of charge to your community. So, you can have this on the city website where you're actually sharing as to, what this is being used for, what it's not being used for. You can publicize your policy. Some agencies go above and beyond and also publicize, hey, we've recovered X amount of dollars in value of stolen goods, or recovered a certain amount of stolen vehicles. So we do provide this portal free of charge to provide that transparency so that you are able to have some public trust. So just to recap, we are what we call a safety as a service partner, meaning that you do get all of this up front at one fixed price. We help maintain the system on the back end. We help you with permitting. We help you with storage. And all these systems are integrated seamlessly, so you're not having to replace pieces and parts. We develop our own technology, and we help you make sure that it's maintained and operating at the highest level. And we're already helping solve crime across Michigan. We're already 125 law enforcement agencies. Here are some prominent ones. We were instrumental in helping solve a hit and run investigation. Actually, there was a 7-year-old who was riding his bike down the street when a vehicle hit him, and this kid was in really tough situation, needed critical care, but they were able to find the victim on the scene, and the witnesses told officers that the suspect vehicle had been pulling a trailer. So that description alone was enough for the officers to query the system and had enough of a matching description to really follow up on this lead. And they responded to the registered owner's residence where they learned it was the owner's boyfriend who had been driving it at the time of the incident. So they subsequently apprehended the suspect and arrested him in this place. So this was in Flint, Michigan, this in 2024. It's no longer 2025. I keep thinking it's 24. Really unfortunate situation, but again, just showing the power of our network and our ability to really use the vehicle fingerprint to really help develop these leads. A different situation in Van Buren, there was a different kind of hit and run case that led to a fatality. Within 8 hours of the incident, the suspect was apprehended with the help of a custom hot list entry. As Lieutenant Charles Basie describes, without Flock, this case would have gone unsolved. And I don't like to end without our first Amber Alert being solved, actually based out of Georgia, where we're founded. Back in 2020, a mom was, walking down the street with her baby in a stroller when two strangers jumped out of the van and took her baby at gunpoint. She fought them off the best as she could, but her baby was gone. So they fled the scene. At the time, she only knew that it was like a red Honda with a damaged back wheels, and that was enough of a description to lead to a good search. They were able to locate a suspect that fit that description, and that vehicle at the time was fleeing the state. So they were able to, we have such a strong presence in Georgia, they were able to map out our network where they were able to make a felony stop by 5 o'clock. They found a safe place to make that stop, and by 6 o'clock a baby's reunited with their mom. Typically stranger-on-stranger abductions go unsolved. It's very rare to be able to solve these. In this scenario, we were able to respond to a very serious situation at 12:30, and by 6 o'clock the baby's reunited with their mom. That baby is no longer a baby, it's a toddler, and we are very proud to share that as of this last year, we've been able to help recover over 400 missing people across the country, and that's just cases that we've been made aware of. So I just share that again to show the power of our system, the power of our network, being part of a Flock Safety's network, and really the importance of the response time that we're able to provide. Sorry if I went a little bit long there, but happy to answer any questions.
Any questions by council? Well, I have a couple. What was the number of cameras we were looking for, Chief?
8.
8? And where would they be?
Probably all of our main roads, so Pennsylvania, Sibley, 4th Street, King, coming in and going.
And I thought I saw a little section on there that says that they're not used for traffic enforcement or citations or running red lights or speeding or anything like that?
That's correct.
Okay. Could they?
No.
That was going to be my next
Good
question.
answer.
Go
ahead.
I'm sorry.
I'm done. Go ahead, Dave.
The audio sensor, is that included in what the cameras that we're looking at?
No, that's a different technology. That's not what we're looking at today.
Okay, so the Raven audio sensor is not included.
No.
All right, Chief gave the purchase price of $53,000. What was the annual?
Maintenance costs.
So maintenance is $3,000 each year, so $24,000 for 8.
24 per 8.
What does that maintenance include for the 3,000? I mean, is that for hardware and software updates, replacement of, if there's newer versions of cameras, do we have to purchase those cameras every so often, or are they replaced in that maintenance fee?
So we make sure that this covers that kind of maintenance. We're making sure that this whole real package that I have listed here, but these are solar powered devices. You don't have to put wires down. So the installation itself is what we help with, but the ongoing maintenance is really the value that we help will help maintain the system, any software upgrades. If there's any hardware upgrades that we will go out of our way to make sure that those are updated in real time. But yeah, and also the data storage.
Question, if they're physically, if they broke,
There you
would they be covered? Lightning hits the camera, someone hits a pole, knocks a pole down, camera breaks?
So that's like the one exception that we typically don't, if there's some degree of, destruction of the camera, that's the one scenario where, we would, I think, charge like the actual cost of the manufacturing of the camera, which is a couple $100. That's the one scenario where we do not replace it free of charge.
How is it connected back to the police department? By Wi-Fi or?
It's
That-
L-
oh,
Go ahead, Augustine.
Yeah, that's by LTE. So in Michigan, we have.
Is that
either
cell phone
A-
signal?
Yeah.
It's cell phone signal.
Cell phone signal,
Right.
sorry about that. Yeah, Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile.
So you said you were located, you're headquartered in Georgia?
Correct.
Yeah.
So my question would be, what does the maintenance look like on this? If, like Jeff brought up, if we have to perform hardware service on this, how long does it take you guys to get up to Michigan, perform the maintenance and get it back running?
So in terms of maintenance, we actually have a team stationed in Detroit because of the large presence that we have already in the state of Michigan. And actually, the manager who runs that team is located in Michigan. So it's just a matter of getting me on the schedule and sending a team out there. We have agents throughout every state so that it's easy and, the cameras are not down for a long period of time.
So when you say not a long, and that's actually the root of my question, when you say not a long time, are we talking a week or a month or?
So it depends on what the issue is with the camera. If we need to have a camera replacement, then I'd say we're looking at least 5 to 7 days for somebody to be out there. If we can sooner, but 5 to 7 days minimum.
Okay.
I have another question. I know that these cameras will be taking the number of vehicles up and down our major roads. We don't, from the standpoint of marketing to future businesses that want to locate in the city, can we get the data of the number of vehicles that go down like a 4th Street or a Pennsylvania or a Sibley? Nothing more than just the count of number of vehicles per year? So we know that, hey, there's 55,000 people going down 4th Street a year, and this is a good place to put a business? Would we be able to get that kind of data from you?
Yeah, that's part of the, that's part of what you will be able to, as part of the audit system. It will tell you the number of vehicles.
Okay.
That's also the transparency code will share.
Yep,
the
very
number
good to
of
know.
vehicles that have passed by.
Cool.
Has
Okay.
anybody ever brought up any Fourth Amendment concerns with this type of technology? Just in regards to like, where it would say like comprehensive records of people's coming and going, whether it's used or not, it's still being recorded. I understand that surrounding cities use it also. I just didn't know if that has been an issue for you guys in the past. Has anybody brought that up? Or
I mean, not in Michigan per se. You'd always have people who, your civil liberties defenders and people who have a very specific perspective into this. But nationwide, license plate reading technology has become a standard in the evidence collection process. There's a lot of case law that supports it. The reality is that this data is not around for very long. It's deleted after 30 days. So, unless you're part of a criminal investigation, your data will likely be deleted. Keeping in mind that this isn't personal data, this is data about vehicles.
so someone's personal property. Okay, all right.
I think the argument on there is that your vehicle's in public, so
Yeah.
it's
That's a good way to look. There's really no expectation of privacy in public.
Exactly.
But I think the key thing here is, even though it's taking pictures of all these cars and the license plate, if there's no reason to look that license plate number up, there's really no, there's no tracking of that vehicle. It's only when there's input from a human that says, we're looking for this number. And because I'm thinking the same thing you are,
I'm just
there's
crossing
going to be
Ts,
those who are going to object to it, it's a whole big brother spying on you, I get that argument. But I think if it, maybe the wrong motivation, I'd like the number of vehicles. We always wonder how many vehicles are going down Fort Street, because when you have new businesses, they want to know that, what's the traffic patterns like? So there'd be good benefits that way too.
That's a very good point, Mayor, because we can't just go in the system and just look up plates. We need a reason.
Mm-hmm.
We need to tell them a reason before we get it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a log on for each individual that's using it, so there's a record of which officer logs in to?
Said in the paperwork, each person will get their own password and username.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
And I don't want it to sound like I'm saying it would be abused. That's a big issue to
It's
a lot of
human nature.
people. And so I just assume, ask about it, you know what I mean?
No, I
I'm not
agree.
saying that it'd be unlawfully used or anything, it's just,
No, this was a hot button topic, and unfortunately, the more incidents we get, the more citizens in those groups realize that we need this tool.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And in our department, I envision us only using it in the detective bureau, so there'll only be 3 people that'd be the users for investigative reasons.
Okay.
So that's what we would do.
And because I asked about the locations, would one of them be near any of the schools? I can see where that might be important for child abductions or those
Yeah.
types of things.
Well, we could look into putting by the schools, if the school wants to entertain, maybe paying for
Open
one
up.
of those cameras, yes.
Good idea.
Do we know what locations for 8 cameras, where you want them?
Well, I mapped out 4, but when I looked at 4, I figured I might as well ask for 8, right?
Christmas is over.
It's easier to ask for 8.
I hate to argue with that logic, I would have done the same.
So, yeah, I did look at the map, and I think it would be beneficial to add 8. And the reason, I looked at this before, I looked at it again because the chief in Trenton, he approached me and says he's thinking about putting them in, and I think he's got the okay. And it makes sense for us to partner with him instead of putting cameras together.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
We can stretch and get more money for the bank,
Yeah.
for the buck. So, and then Wyandott's doing it. Southgate's not in yet, but I talked to him, he wants them. Brownstown has them, they want to expand, so
Uh-huh.
I would talk to Brownstown too at Sibley to see what we could do, so.
That's a good idea.
So, with the alert, and I guess this would be for Augustine or Jonathan, if, God forbid, we had a missing or stolen child, who gets those alerts? Like, how does that get sent to directly you, or does that get sent? I'm curious on if we have a time critical issue. Would there be an alert sent to the police station saying, hey, look, this vehicle's been wanted, it's a missing child?
Jonathan, I believe the way it works, if we put it in, we can monitor that as well as the agencies that vehicle's traveling through the cameras, correct?
Yeah, you can customize your own alert and make sure that whatever vehicle is associated with that, as soon as, if you have a full license plate, that will automatically trigger that, and you could also alert other agencies around you to make sure that they know that you set up that alert, and they could also help you in that type of investigation.
And,
We've seen this happen in real time. Sorry, Augustine, go ahead.
no, you're good. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you were finished. Sorry, Jonathan. Are you done, or do you wanna?
Oh, you're good.
Okay, cool, thank you. And Councilmember, just explain the notification process, how it's received for the police department. It would be either whoever has access to their computer or mobile phone, they can download a mobile app. So if chief were to receive a type of notification like that directly from his phone, he can start taking action immediately and push out that notification to surrounding agencies to, aid in the investigation.
So if there was there an Ambler alert, and they usually include the make of a vehicle and license plate, would that automatically go into the system, or would somebody have to put it there?
We'd have to enter that into the system.
Okay.
And then I had one question. I had read somewhere in here that it's not in real time. How long is the lag between when that car is driving through that checkpoint and when the chief can actually see it?
It's typically under 30 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't want to oversell it, but it's pretty almost instantaneous.
If a neighboring community puts in an alert for a stolen vehicle and it passes through our community, which is flagged, then does that community that puts in the alert, are they notified as well, or just our department?
Typically, yeah, depending on whether you decided to share your data with that community. So a lot of agencies, a lot of communities, they say, hey, we're going to have an agreement with the agencies around us, and that way they have access to your data too.
So that's something they would log into our system to get that data, or is it shared with their system?
They would be able to search through your data as part of that investigation. Yeah, it's typically like yes, and because you agreed to share your data with them. If not, then they can just notify you, and you can, agree to helping them in that search.
One other question, you had mentioned that this helps with staffing shortages. Can you elaborate a little bit more how that would help? Is it with reduction of having to have more officers on the road patrolling, or how does that help with the staffing shortage?
It certainly makes policing more effective. You're able to respond to critical situations with better situational awareness. And yeah, you're able to actually pursue the right, rather than going and knocking on 30 doors. I mean, this is not replacing that boots on the ground kind of investigative process, but you have data to work with. You have more objective evidence to work off of. So it's really that kind of, we call it a force multiplier, but it's really becoming more effective having this technology, that you become more effective with your time and the vision of labor as you try to run the city.
To me, Councilman Webb, if you have one officer they ran 10 plates a day on their shift. Now you're having this device run every plate that's coming through your town. So if there's a bad actor coming into town, that's a huge, huge advantage to know, as opposed to, the couple cops we have running plates.
Yeah.
Right. So it's more of a reduction of time and effort rather than staffing.
Correct.
Those are my questions.
One last question.
Go ahead.
So when we have something like an Amber Alert, and I don't know if the system would be set up for this, but I would think that it'd be a wise idea, since you're using a mobile band network, to, when you have, like you suggested, when you have a make and model that automatically gets entered into the database for Flock for any city that would have it, instead of every department in every city who has it then entering that information by itself, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we're all getting a little confused here. I am a little too. I think if we put that into the Flock system, no matter what community it's going through, it's flagged. It's going to let
See, that's
them
what
know.
I'm wondering.
Yeah.
It does.
But I thought Jonathan said that you'd have to have an agreement with the surrounding communities, or am I wrong?
No, that's, there's I always forget the acronym. There's a National Center of Endangered and Missing People. And as soon as, because there is so there's two ways. You can just enter your own alert saying, hey, we're responding to something critical.
Yeah.
You will alert the Amber Alert system at that point in time. But that could already happen prior. There could already be an Amber Alert already pending for someone who's missing. And that will alert everybody.
Okay,
The entire
all right.
system is already integrated with that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was getting confused on.
Typically, when we see, let's say you're investigating someone related to a homicide, right? And you're flagging, hey, someone that we're investigating for related to a homicide is coming into your community. We want to alert you of that. That's kind of that process when you don't explicitly already share data. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's all I had.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Not for them, but I have an internal question.
I think my question's internal.
We appreciate your time. I'll talk to you on Thursday.
Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you,
fellas.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome. You have a question for me?
Yes.
Yep. After the, okay. Are they gone?
I would-
Yeah, they
Okay,
they
go ahead.
jumped off.
I was just wondering, as far as funding, is there any grants, or can we use drug asset forfeitures to help fund this? Is this all coming from the general?
It's coming from our capital improvement plan, which is general fund money. We don't have a lot of drug forfeiture money, so I keep that, use that sparingly for emergency if we need something.
Do you need ARPA funds or?
I think we're out of those.
We're done with
Yeah.
ARPA,
Okay.
we spent.
Is that what Wyandotte uses their ARPA for? I believe they had some grant money that they used for their cameras. I recall talking to one of the council members.
You know, I don't know. I could ask Archie how they paid for them. And there is a grant through the DCC, but we already allocated our grant for computer use for our in-car computers to be replaced. So,
We could also look into SEMCOG, may have something to, yeah. That's a good idea.
anything else?
No, I think it's a great program. Having read quite a bit about it, and I think it would be of value to the community, obviously, depending on the cost and being able to afford that. And plays well in with, as you know, the Riverview Neighborhood Watch has the Pirate Eyes program for anybody
That's the
that has-
logo that should go on it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it's just a program for any resident that has property cameras that faces the street to register, call the police department, give your contact information. If there's ever any crime on your street or area, they may reach out to you to check your footage. But
Yeah.
I think this would play well for the main arteries rather than the internal, which we're already, looking
yeah.
at Fort Street and Sibley, but, or possibly around the schools if the school's willing to play ball, so.
Councilman Robbins, you have one?
I mean, I feel, especially when you start bringing children into it, obviously nobody wants to see any harm come to a child, and something like that does seem like a huge asset, and, in efficiency of time-wise goes, if something, God forbid, were to occur. I got some reading to do, for sure. Randy, do you have any insight constitutionally? Because, I mean, we all know the Patriot Act, but there was a lot of parts of that were found to be, we all know, were found to be unconstitutional and ruled unconstitutional.
Yeah,
So
and I think the
I-
mayor touched on it when he said that, the right of, the expectation of privacy. When you're
Right.
out in the open. And this isn't like, I know, I follow a lot in Cook County in Illinois, in Chicago, they have the gunshot warning system where gunshots are heard within various precincts, and that's being litigated now, I believe, but
They got 'em
this
in
is
the
far
city now,
different.
too.
Yeah,
They-
Detroit.
Down in Detroit, they have them.
Yeah.
They got it here too?
I'm
Okay,
almost
I haven't
100%.
followed them, but, yeah, that's a different category. That, this has been litigated, and I think we're comfortable in having it here. And again, it's not speed enforcement, even though on the East Coast, I pay tickets for a child of mine that gets caught on camera there, so, yeah.
I got a lead foot, that's the only camera I'll fight you on.
I just felt that was something important to inquire on.
Uh-huh.
I'm glad you
Because
did.
don't want to step into that, That's
Exactly.
a slippery slope.
Yep.
Just one question on the contract. How long is the contract for? Like, do you sign year by year? Is it 5, 10?
That's a good question, because I'll have to ask for
I
him.
meant to ask for that.
So another thing I was gonna say, and I forgot to say, is it takes almost over a year to implement this for all the permits and stuff, so that's why I brought it to your attention
Mhm.
too. So that's something I'll ask him on
Which permits?
Thursday.
With who?
So Fort Street is a state road, so we have to get state permission to put them up there. and we
But
have
it's
to
our
get
right of way,
permission-
we can do it.
Yeah, we gotta ask DT if we can use their poles, it's cheaper if we can use a pole that's already up there.
Now, the ordinance.
Yeah.
My pushback.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier when you were talking about that. I gotta get
Maybe we could wait.
local ordinance approval
Hurry up and
through,
do it, chief.
but yeah, that's a good question, I'll ask him on Thursday, Ryan.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, 2-3, update special projects. Jeff?
Let's start with the landfill. Jeff K., do we have any projects going on right now currently at the landfill? Any?
As of right now, no.
No. Okay. Dave Skirdo?
Yep. With the holidays, it's been kind of slow. Areas Health has approval to go forward with their expansion. We've been more or less helping them write letters so they get their loan approved, so we've been doing background information. Panda 2, which was that vacant former Wild Coney Denny site, they were giving marching instructions about architectural changes back in October, November, and they haven't shown, we talked to their architect, but they haven't shown back up yet. They go back from the planning commission. Other than that, the planning commission's kind of given staff a lot of little tasks to do with ordinance reviews and internal administrative things.
Busy work.
That's what we've been doing.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, last but not least, our city engineer.
You gotta have to the microphone, I was told. Nobody can hear unless we stay here. The Clark Avenue water main, we just received the permit, we're waiting for weather to break so we can start the water main replacement. The lead services, again, we're waiting for the weather to start replacing 65 more lead services. We are finishing the list of sewers to be lined as next phase is coming up. And the Vreeland Park is also waiting for weather to break so we can install 3 more pickleball court. That's a grant from the county CDBG grant. We're very excited about that. We are working with the finance department on the CIP plan for utility improvements, water mains, sanitary sewers, and so forth. And I'll be bringing forward the concrete replacement program for 2025. The contractor is willing to extend his contract at no increase, so I'll be bringing that in front of you for approval. And we just finished the audit for the stormwater management program, and that's all I have for now.
Thank you, Sohail. Got a question, Dave?
Yeah, just real
Go ahead.
quick. So, is there anything in that that pickleball property grant for the what would you call
Pavilion.
it? The pavilion.
Yes,
Is there
we are
any money in there
replacing,
for that?
the roof is being replaced. We're
Awesome.
also installing 2 porta-johns there for people to use, so it's gonna be a nice project.
Very cool. Awesome.
With cover, kind of like a little wall or whatever.
Kind of screen, we call it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be screened, yes.
Very cool.
And a water fountain and a dog fountain, so that's good.
Wow.
It'll be a nice project. so.
Look at us getting
Yeah.
bougie.
And so, Ohio, we're still working on the Dua tunnel connection too, right?
That is already ready to bid. We're waiting for funding, and that's part of the CIP plan we're working with UNN on. So as soon as the funding becomes available, we'll put that project out for bids, and hopefully it'll happen soon. So in 2025, we're hoping.
Me too.
Thank you, Sohail.
You're very welcome. Good night.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Any other business council wants to bring up at this time? Brian?
Just wanted to plug for the vision plan committee, which is forming. Will be, so what it is it's a guide to, the vision plan is a guide to ensure that the city of Riverview sustains itself as an economically viable community. And we're kicking it off with the council on Wednesday, January 22nd, between 7 and 8 p.m. in the Senior Activity Center here at City Hall. Myself, Rita, and Susie will be there. And that was the shameless plug for that. But I did have maybe a question and maybe a short discussion on council is having heard the Bonner Advisory Group proposal for the economic development strategic plan, knowing that we're going into a challenging year, we've now got a direction where the landfill is closing, we're working on the vision plan. Is it economically feasible in the budget this year for that 32.5, or is it something we can look at for next year?
We currently approved it. On your authorization, I signed it as city manager. It's just waiting to come back from that gentleman. And I think it'd be very beneficial to have that data for that 2030 plan. And I truly believe that it was very, well, council and yourself was very interested in having that group help with that. So it makes no difference this year or next year or whatever. I think since it's going, I think it should happen.
Yeah,
It should happen at some point.
Yes,
I'd like to have that resource available to us as we go into the vision
absolutely.
plan.
And that's kind of the thought, and we'll make that happen.
Okay.
We may have a budget amendment, but
Right.
we have a surplus enough to pay that bill to get that done,
That's what I was
if that's
asking.
what you're looking for.
That's what I'm... All right, thank you.
Anybody else?
I just have one thing, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I just want to say to everyone from Dearborn, thoughts and prayers are with you guys. the former Dearborn Mayor, John B. Jack O'Reilly Jr. He passed away on Wednesday. He was 76. He served as Dearborn's mayor for 15 years, and prior to that, he served as Dearborn City Council president for 17 years. He's also on DCC and board officers, and he's always been involved with his community. So I just wanted to honor his memory and let you all know that we're thinking of you.
Thank you. Anybody else? With that, it's time for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the mayor and council, please approach this podium, state your name and address for the record, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes.
Ken Kyleman, 20243 Coachwood. I feel kind of silly bringing this up, but this is just a minor, easy question about the ordinance. As I'm reading it, there are some exceptions as to what can go on without a permit. And if you're in certain areas of the city, we don't have the privilege of having our mail delivered right to the door. It's out onto the right of way. And if you've been a victim of mailbox baseball, like I have in the past, and had to replace that, would I need to get a permit to replace my mailbox out in the right of way? That's my question. It wasn't included in the exceptions, and I just thought I'd bring it up, having
Good question.
having
Love
experienced
to
it.
look at that.
Thanks.
We'll test that theory later.
The cameras are gonna pick up your car.
Somebody get my
We don't have them
I
yet.
replaced it right. No, we have mine. Anybody else? Seeing none, we're done. Thank you very much, everybody.